freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 3 recap for this week's Olympic Games. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. And Patrick, a moving day at the Olympics with only 3 spots that matter. We did certainly get a lot of movement today.
Bonjour. Just coming back from Montreal, a French-speaking part of this world. Let me tell you, Rick, my French sucks. You just look like a big fat idiot when people look at you. You give them a blank stare. But maybe it rubbed off on me, and we can decipher this leaderboard and maybe pick the medalists at the end of this episode, correctly predict those.
I have two items for you. One is a question, one is a comment. Does Montreal take the Paris Olympics more seriously because they feel a kind of brethren to their mother tongue speaking peeps?
No, you could not tell that the Olympics was going on.
Okay. When I was in Italy for the Ryder Cup, I'm going to give credit to Jeff Shackelford. I think it was Shackelford who said this. It could have been somebody else, but he said the difference between Paris and Rome is that the Parisians will let you look like an idiot for a couple of sentences trying to speak French and before they tell you that they speak English. The Italians will immediately stop you because they don't want you to butcher their beautiful language.
I mean, Italians, I would say, arguably better people. I don't think that's too hot of a take given my experience with the French. So I think that's a good point there.
That has stuck with me, and it has seemingly bearing out to be true more frequently than not. Okay, let's get to the movers. There was a course record fired at Le Golf National today by Nicolai Højgaard, and the beauty of this bogey-free 62 is that he tied the course record set by Rasmus Højgaard, his twin brother. So the boys, the twins, have the pair of course records here at Le Golf National. This was stellar, as you can imagine. Here, Patrick going out in 31. He makes an eagle on 14, 2 more birdies coming in. It's the best round of his professional career by a full stroke. He gained over 8 strokes to the field. So this was a special one that moved him up 28 spots, and he is now currently in a tie for 4th. He is 2 shots off the podium.
2 shots off the podium. Entered the day, Rick, 9 shots off the podium, 9 shots off the lead. Those 3 who came into the weekend atop the leaderboard. And he pretty much said after his round, he was like, going into today, I have nothing to lose. I'm not going to medal. I have no chance at this. Let's just fire at every pin, go for broke. Guess what? You shoot the course record, and guess what? You're just off the podium, 2 strokes back. So obviously the ball striking has to be great. If you shoot something like 62, hit 13 fairways, only missed 1, hit 14 greens as well. The putter also has to be homing in the right direction as well. Made nice putts on 8 and 9. The eagle on 14 was the result of, that was pretty much a tap in, it felt like. And then a nice putt there on 17 too. So everything came together for him. But I would say the shift in his mindset, Rick, from I'm out of this tournament, I have nothing to lose, to, oh my gosh, I'm now in the penultimate group and I have a chance to not only win bronze medal, but potentially do even better.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see more of that mentality on Sunday as well. I think 18 is probably going to yield the most birdies and doubles that we have seen all week long as guys try to take that one on. Now, it was Christian Bezuidenhout who was the next best round. This is 2 shots worse than Nicolai Højgaard, but still better than everybody else in the field. That was a 7 under 64 bogey free. He did take advantage of 18. Very few birdies there throughout the week. And Christian puts a circle on the card. Unfortunately for him, he opened up with 70 and 71. So him moving up 22 spots on the leaderboard only puts him in a tie for 13th and currently puts him 5 shots off the podium, with a lot of guys between he and those positions.
It's going to be tough for him to make a move for bronze, but I will say the history of Olympic golf is not extensive, but if Tokyo taught us anything, it is weird stuff can happen on Sunday when pressure's ramped up, and who knows, someone could pull the Nicolai Hogard of today and do it tomorrow. Rory Sabatini, 10 under 61 in that final round in 2021 to claim the silver. And so at least Bez gives himself a chance to potentially do something like that. In typical Bez, it was a lot of putting, hitting a lot of fairways, kind of doing what he does best. So a good round for him and a chance for, I guess, South Africa to possibly get on the podium because him and EVR are both at that 8 under number.
They are. So a 9 under 62 for Højgaard, a 7 under 64 for Bezuidenhout. The next best round was Wyndham Clark's 65. He moves up to a tie for 23rd. Hat tip to Wyndham. He played better in the second round and third round, but he's not going to be in the mix. So I'm going to move this back to Ludvig Aberg. He had one of the 66s on Saturday, and he bogeyed both 10 and 18. The rest of the card was clean. A lot of birdies along the way. Continues to build this resume that shows he is a contender at the highest of levels. That's major championships. It's international competition. It's the PGA Tour. It's the DP World Tour. Wherever you put him, he seems to find his way towards the top of a board.
Yeah, this isn't really too surprising. Obviously got off to a nice start playing the front 9 and 3 under, which is probably pretty level, I would say, to the field, but it was just a ball striking clinic like usual. 12 fairways, 14 greens. That's what you've come to expect from Ludvig. And the one mishap, the one misstep there on 10 was just not a really good short game shot. So that's a hole people have been birdieing as well. So yeah, 9 under. I think this could be a good spot for him just because I think Will Gray put this tweet out after the Scottish Open. He has not broken 70 on Sunday since Augusta National. And so maybe this is a situation where he's a little removed from the immediate chasing pack, so to speak, and he can kind of freewheel it and play his own game and perhaps even learn from those experiences from Pinehurst over the weekend there and from the final round at the Scottish Open too. So yeah, I think the bogey on 18 has to sting a little bit to not get in at 10 under, missed the fairway there, just wasn't able to get up and down after that. But a good round and something you've come to expect from Ludvig.
It's pretty crazy that we're seeing guys who missed the fairway on 18 almost in some situations just lay up, right, and try to remove the danger of that second shot, almost play for a 4.5 score. Maybe you get it up and down for par. If you take a bogey, it's not the end of the world. That's a very good closing hole that I hope Patrick has a lot of implications on Sunday. Which, by the way, before I stop talking, we did not see that. We did not really see 18 all that much in play at the Ryder Cup because a lot of matches were done before that. So this is kind of I want to see it be fully in the mix this week.
I remember 2 moments from the Ryder Cup in regards to 18. It was Europe had already won the Ryder Cup and Alex Noren made a putt on top of Bryson and celebrated there. And then in Sunday singles, also the first match of the day, Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas. I believe Rory missed the fairway, but had to push the envelope, which is something we could see tomorrow. And went for it and ended up hitting it in the water. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it at the top. Anything from 3 to 6 is in play, and that's a very good feeling for a chaser and an uneasy feeling if you're holding a 1-stroke lead heading into that final hole.
Yeah, and 4th doesn't matter. You get nothing for 4th. You get something for 3rd and no money on the line. We're going to hit the notables, and we'll talk about the top of the leaderboard. We'll see what Las Vegas has to say about the way that this thing will wrap up on Sunday. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBez Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. All right, let's get to some notables here, Patrick. This is not necessarily the top of the board, which has kind of separated itself just a little bit. But let's hit the big names, and we'll start here with one Rory McIlroy, who shot his best round of the week. It was a 5 under 66. He was bogey free, and this has been pretty important. And he actually mentioned this in his post round interview. He said, I finally cleaned it up a little bit today. He had made a ton of he had made 6 bogeys through the first two rounds. He had made a double in the first 2 rounds. So that's 8 over on the 7 holes alone in the first 36. He finally does clean it up here. He's in at 10 under par, which is 3 shots off the current podium. So we are still going to need a low one on Sunday for Rory to step on said podium. But he was pretty pleased with the way that he played on Saturday.
He's done plenty of scoring this week. Like you mentioned, the mistakes have just added up because coming into today, couple eagles, 9 birdies. He tacks on 5 more today. And really the iron play looks to be in a good spot, maybe as good as it has been in 2024. Just the 1 into 11, the par 3, kind of maneuvering a shot in there was awesome. Potentially illegal on this side of the Atlantic. Got that one to go. And so he's in another spot where he has an opportunity to claim the bronze medal, perhaps even more. I think, Rick, honestly, the way this leaderboard has shaped up, it's so bizarre, not bizarre, but very interesting and could lead to a lot of movement and some potential heartbreak and celebration, whatever, all in between, where Fleetwood is in 3rd. Spoiler, sorry to that one commenter, and pretty clear of the chasing pack, but he's only 1 off the lead also. And so I feel like we're going to be seeing guys who are in position to win a medal for most of the day, and just potentially something happens down the stretch. Someone gets hot, someone falters a little bit, where they might be in medal position for 85, 90%, 95% of the day. And then at the very end, obviously we just mentioned it with 18. Sorry, bud, you're out. Nice 4th place finish. And so that could lead to someone like Rory McIlroy, who finally got those mistakes off his scorecard, who has been there before. He lost in that 7-man playoff in Tokyo, and someone who's really buying into the Olympics to kind of come in and get on the podium.
Yeah, it's such a unique structure of an event with a golf course that is allowing a lot of low scores, but also at the same time can bite you over the final couple of holes. And if you're Tommy Fleetwood and you get to 18, you're 1 shot out of a playoff or something like that for gold, and you're holding a 1 or a 2 shot lead over 4. Like how much do you push it? Like that's the question, which is going to be really cool to see what these guys play for.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally, if you are Tommy Fleetwood, you're 1 back of, say, it's the same scenario here, but say your lead is only 1 over the 4th place person. You miss the fairway on 18. What do you do? What do you do? That I hope, I don't know if it's going to be Fleetwood or whoever. I hope someone is presented that question, because I would love an answer.
What would you do? Well, you are on, well, hold on. I'm trying to think what would be the most interesting situation. You're like on 18, you miss the fairway, but you have like a decent lie. It's not like maybe you're just in the first cut, you've got a decent lie on 18. Are you trying to win gold, or are you trying to hold on to bronze?
I'm trying to win gold.
I think realistically, I want to say that I would try to win gold, but I think realistically, I would be very happy with bronze.
I also think the country which you are from would matter a lot. Like Denmark has 1 medal in the Olympics so far. So if Hogard is in that position, knowing how much a medal means for his country, I think it's a little different than, say, a stupid American like me.
Right, for sure. And a stupid American who does a very good French accent. Speaking of the French, they are going to get, or at least had a very cool moment on Saturday from Victor Perez. Matthew Pavone, the other representative, is in dead last, which I think Greg and I might have talked about on Monday. He was either going to win this golf tournament or he was going to finish dead last, and we are getting the dead last version of this. But we're getting better play from Victor Perez, who had a really cool moment coming up 18, makes a birdie there, gets the crowd all hot and bothered. He shot a 3 under 68. He is currently in a tie for 13th, Patrick. So he is in, miracle range. You probably have to shoot the course record and get some help, but he is putting up a good performance for his home country.
He is, and I think something to keep an eye on with Perez is he has been awesome on the back nine so far this week. He was bogey-free up until today, dropped a shot late, but 14 birdies and 1 bogey, I believe, in those 27 holes on the back nine when the pressures gets ramped up, when the French are at their loudest. And yeah, very cool moment on 18. It was pretty funny. He was walking off the green, and moments later, they're obviously giving him a standing O. Ale, 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 all that good stuff. I believe that's let's go in French. Rick, don't quote me on that. And meanwhile, on 16, I believe, Hideki Matsuyama, 15, Hideki Matsuyama rolls in a birdie putt, and he goes to his caddy. He's like smiling. He goes, "That wasn't for me, right?" Because they were all cheering for Victor Perez behind him.
I love that. It's like, oh, was that me? Are they on the bandwagon right now? That's very cool. Victor Perez 8 under. Hope that he improves his position on Sunday, but either way, it's likely going to end in a similar result. It will be without a medal, but it'll be a great performance. Scottie Scheffler, kind of just a weird Scottie week. Leads the field in strokes gained approach, is 7th off the tee. He's gaining around the green, and he is 47th in putting, which means he's losing about 3 strokes. This happens to him from time to time. Now he's been better with the putter as of late. He bogeyed 2, he bogeyed 17. He scattered a bunch of birdies along the way. I think Scottie's kind of the most interesting situation here, Patrick, because he's in at 10 under. So that's 3 shots off the current podium situation. He has not had his low one. He hasn't had his big one yet. And if he goes out and gains 2 strokes with the putter, I don't know. Like he's got the firepower to do this. I just don't know how much confidence I have that it's coming tomorrow.
I think Scottie Scheffler is either going to win gold or not finish on the podium. I think it's all or nothing for him. And he's obviously a guy who we have seen go nuclear before. He's broken 60, shot 59 at TPC Boston a few years ago during his rookie season. He's won shootout after shootout as well. And so, like you said, you called it a weird Scottie Scheffler week. I would call it a vintage Scottie Scheffler week.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, seriously.
Where you laid it out with all the statistics. He's doing exactly what you would expect from him. He gained over 4 strokes on approach today. That is godlike. And so it all comes down to that putter. And because he's going to give himself plenty of birdie opportunities, plenty of scoring chances. It's just a matter if he can knock in a couple 10 to 15 footers. And if he does, the floodgates might break open and he might be chasing down the leaders.
Yeah, he's the guy that if I could only, well, I don't know if I would say that, but I was going to say, if you just said, hey, give me your short list of guys that you need to watch, I obviously want to see what goes on in the final group, but like Scottie Scheffler is the X factor here. He's the guy that can apply the pressure to the top of the board. He can make those shots coming in much more difficult for the guys up top if he goes and posts something low or he gets on a run. So he's the guy that I think can really change the outlook of this event. Real quick, before we get to the guys at the top, Stuart in the chat says, how do you not talk about Tom Kim and the exception, which I actually think would be an exemption, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. We've talked about the Tom Kim stuff ad nauseum for the last couple of days, so you're just a couple of days late. Go back. If Tom Kim gets a medal, he will not have to do the Korean military service. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Now, there were 3 golfers at the top of the board heading into the 3rd round, Patrick. And the guy who struggled the most was Hideki Matsuyama. So he has gotten progressively worse scores throughout the week. 63 on Thursday, 68, 71. That even par 71 drops him back 3 positions. He is now 2 shots off the podium. He got off to a very, very slow start. He was 2 over by the time he made the turn, and he rallied to keep himself in this thing. But I was hoping to see a better performance from Hideki to have him kind of much more in the mix here.
I agree. And it kind of stems back to 18 yesterday, right, Rick? He got to 13 under for this tournament, was a couple strokes ahead, makes double bogey on 18. That, I don't want to call it poor play, but that kind of rolls into Saturday, gets off to a poor start, hits it in the water on number 2, actually does very well getting up and down from the drop zone to only make bogey, drops another there on 4. So quickly, he's all of a sudden 9 under, 4 back, and you're like, oh my gosh, is he going to be a factor in this tournament over the rest of the weekend? But like you mentioned, hung really tough, hit some quality iron shots, which I think was somewhat missing there the first 2 rounds. It felt like he was flying pretty close to the sun in terms of making a lot of putts. And today, the putter kind of didn't bail him out as much. The 3 putt on 14 after finding the surface in 2 kind of stings, and then he misses a short one on 16 as well. Had the low lefts going just a little bit there at the end, but similar to Rory, this is a guy who has been in this position before. He was in that final group in Tokyo with Xander Schauffele, didn't get the job done, was in that bronze medal playoff, ejected early, if my memory serves me correctly, and he'll obviously not have as much pressure this time around, not being in Tokyo, not being in Japan. And so I think he could be, as he usually is, somewhat of a forgotten man, lost in the shuffle. All of a sudden, down the stretch, oh my gosh, if Hideki does this on 18, he could medal, he could do something crazy. So definitely, you mentioned Scottie. I mean, those chasing the podium, Scottie, Rory, and Hideki, you got to watch them all, right, Rick?
It is a really good group of chasers to apply as much pressure as possible. They're just far enough back where they're in it, but they can freewheel it. This is an ideal leaderboard setup, especially because of the structure of the quote unquote payouts.
It is the best leaderboard heading into the final round of the season. I'm putting that out there. I believe you have 7 of the top 15 in the OWGR in the top 10. Ludvig, Tom Kim, some other guys too. And so, well, Ludvig's top 15. I don't know what Tom Kim is, but yeah, like you mentioned, because that 3rd place is so valuable, it adds so much more to this tournament.
And my quick count shows 8 different countries represented in the top 9, which is pretty cool. So we've got only 2 Americans. Everybody else is from a different country. Okay. So that leaves us with the 3 at the top. Now, there's a couple of interesting things going on here. We've got Jon Rahm at 14 under, Xander Schauffele 14 under, Tommy Fleetwood at 13 under. They are 2 shots clear of everybody else, or at least Tommy is. 11 under par is the T4 number. So a couple of things. Firstly, Patrick, they play in 3 balls. So these guys are going out together, which I love. I usually am not a fan of Sunday 3 balls, but I actually think there should be somebody who decides like, hey, these 3 are very clearly the favorites to win. We'll put them together, because it would be a lot worse if it was Rahm and Xander and then Fleetwood and Højgaard, and they weren't all staring each other in the eye. This is a situation where I love that they're going out in 3 balls tomorrow.
I do too. And I know I know there's been clamoring about this potentially turning into some sort of match play tournament down the line, people itching for that format. Well, this is kind of match play, but just not in name, right? Because we mentioned their decisions are going to be affected by what other players do. If someone hits it in the water on 18, guess who's going to be laying up with an iron to make sure he finds the fairway? The other guy, right? And so you do have that situation or that feeling of a match play, even though it's stroke play, which kind of gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, there is not another stroke play event that I can think of where you are so aware and reacting to what your opponent is doing. And the reason is there's only 3 payouts, right? We've said it 100 times, but think about this. If this was the Tour Championship and you were in 4th, there's a lot of money for 4th. There's a lot of money for 5th. You might be wanting to try to hold on. You know what I mean? Like, you might want to try to hold on to 4th or try to hold on to 5th, depending on who you are. Just the nature of this is so unique, and it's a stroke play event in which what your opponents are doing really, really matters. So it's very, very cool in that sense. So let's start with Tommy. So Tommy Ladd in at 13 under par. He was 2 under 69, and this was fairly, I don't want to say boring, because he had to hit a lot of great shots and there was a lot going on. He had to roll some putts in, 3 birdies, 1 bogey on the card for Tommy. He played his last 4 holes all at even par, so he parred all 4 of those. So he was pretty solid coming down the stretch, and that was even including essentially a layup on 18, which ended up being pretty critical for him to get up and down for par there. So Tommy has not faded, Patrick. And I was speaking with the boys earlier this week about how this would be a sizable component of his resume if he was able to pull it off.
He looked like the most comfortable early. It felt like Hideki and I'm not going to say Xander, but felt like maybe they were looking ahead just a little bit, like, oh, maybe this is an actual 3-man race for the medals. And Fleetwood was by far and away in the early portion of this round the most comfortable out there, the one hitting the best golf shots as well. But I think where he fell short, only shooting 2 under, is he didn't really give himself a ton of chances from the fairway. Handcuffed himself there on number 3 right when he got the lead. He poofed one right, chopped it out, gave himself a good look at not even a great look at birdie, but gave himself a look at birdie, which was a win in that scenario. Didn't take advantage of number 9 either. So his iron play has been awesome so far this week. But what I'm looking at tomorrow, Rick, it'll obviously be some of those knee-knocking putts where we have seen Tommy Fleetwood miss those in critical situations before, but it's going to be the driver and what he does off the tee, because his iron play has been just awesome. And if he gives himself more than 7 chances from the middle of the fairway, I think he has a real chance to keep up with Rahm and Xander.
Our reigning gold medalist, Xander Schauffele, shot a 3 under 68. He's been incredibly solid this week. 65, 66, 68. He got slapped in the mouth with a bogey out of the gate on number 2 this morning, and then he flipped the script: a birdie on 4, a birdie on 12, an eagle on 14, and pars the rest of the way. Patrick, we're three starts into a modern Olympic Games. Where do you think successfully defending a gold medal would rank in, I don't know, prestige, history, great accomplishments? Like, where could this possibly fall in?
So I was thinking about this yesterday, Rick. I was putting together a completely fabricated and made up point system for when Xander Schauffele when he does win the gold medal, to compare him and Scottie Scheffler's season. And I would put the Olympics on par, only 60 men, but you add the prestige, a gold medal, what that means for athletes in general. And I gave it on my point scale of majors being a 4, regular tour events being a 1. I have the Players' Championship worth 2 points. And I gave the Olympics 2 points as well.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
It's hard to argue. I think the obviously the Players is first of all, it's played yearly, but it is a deep, strong field on a difficult golf course. Winning that is incredibly impressive. I think for me, the longevity, right? You know, this was 3 years apart, but you know, to go 4 years between, there are a lot of guys who are in these Olympics who will not be in next year's Olympics, and vice versa. There's a lot of guys from 2021 that are not back in the, it's hard to even qualify, especially from a country as deep as the United States in terms of golf qualifiers. So that alone, I think, is a pretty big accomplishment. Then you get one crack at this, right? You just get, it's 4 rounds. You get one crack at it. I think it's very impressive. I think I would be very, very impressed. And maybe it's a 2.5 in your score for me. But I just think that that's very impressive. What's even more impressive, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about this at some point next week, Lydia Ko has a bronze, a silver, and is probably one of the favorites this time around. That would be, if she were to somehow pull off that combo, that would be one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. But back to Xander, I would rank it quite highly just because of the rarity of the event, the difficulty getting in. Yes, it is a small field. That gives it a knock, but you add the prestige level. I don't know, man. I think it would be really cool and very, very impressive.
I agree, and I think Olympic golf almost had a disservice with this comeback with the Zika virus in 16 and COVID in 20, where you watch it on TV. The course in Brazil, I believe, was made just for the Olympics and doesn't have much recognition. And people watching are like, "Oh, like this is Olympic golf. This doesn't seem awesome. This is something I could easily do without. I'll just watch dressage instead." But this year, with the fans coming out at Le Golf National being such a risk reward, offering a lot of variance down the stretch and excitement as well, I think it adds to the prestige that you're alluding to. I do have Rick. I know I've called him wet socks for the past year or so. I was crafting up nicknames during my time in Montreal, and I have a new nickname for Xander. It is the Index Fund.
Okay. So hold on. Let me try to guess why. Is this just like you just keep putting your money in, close your eyes, don't worry about anything else, and it just keeps going up in value? Like what's the basis of the index fund?
Exactly, right. It's a diversified pool of investments. Well, guess who has the most diversified game in golf right now? It's Xander Schauffele. You have blue chip stocks, don't get me wrong, like a Scottie Scheffler, like a Rory McIlroy, who are cash cows. But at the end of the day, it's tough to beat the market. And that's Xander Schauffele. And I like that it has an X in it. So you can say the Index Fund.
Oh, sick. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Thank you. I have a couple others. I don't think they're as good, but they're out there.
Yeah, he would have a very cool, like his ticker could be something like XND or something. Like it could be pretty cool, or XAND. I wonder if
Zan, dollar sign Zan for sure.
Oh man, now I got to find out if that's actually a fund. Doesn't look like it. I don't know.
Could be available.
The other thing is, I was going to say one more thing about this Olympics thing. Xander Schauffele, the Olympics. Oh, to your point, I think that Olympic medals are going to age well because you get now everybody seems to be much more invested. Le Golf National, you're going to get Riviera in 2028. We don't know where we're going in 32 yet. Actually, no, we do. Brisbane, I think.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know where we're going to play in Brisbane, but I think if we continue to go to some of these like major championship caliber venues, these medals you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, Xander won 2 of these. Like that's sick.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with the longevity part of it and how difficult it is to qualify for back-to-back, there's a chance for a long period of time, well beyond you see that Scottie Scheffler quote about people not caring in the future about what he does because at the end of the day, we're all just going to die and no one's going to remember anything. There's a time, or there's a chance at that point in time, Xander Schauffele is like the only back-to-back gold medalist.
Oh yeah, we might we seriously. Okay, now we've already given him the gold medal, and we've also fast forwarded 100 years. There's a really good chance with how competitive golf is and how hard, as long as the qualification process doesn't change or anything like that, he might be the only back-to-back gold medalist ever.
Yeah. So he's got to get it done first, obviously.
Yeah. And the guy that he's got to beat is named Jon Rahm. So Jon Rahm seems to have fixed himself. Let me get to the round first. 67, 66, 66 in these opening rounds. He turned in 30. He only had 2 bogeys on the card. He is also showing off that big time firepower, plenty of birdies, a couple of eagles this week. He said after his round, this is the best golf that he has played since last year. Yeah, that passes the sniff test. That passes the eye test. That passes the metrics. That passes everything. This is not a Jon Rahm that we have seen in 2024. Started to really break out a bit at the Open Championship. He had a top 10 there. Then wins Live Golf UK last week. And now he is in the final group to win a medal at the Olympics. So yes, he is brimming with confidence right now.
He has been the best player in this field by far. You look at the statistics, Rick. Who's hit the most fairways? Jon Rahm. Who has hit the most greens in regulation? Jon Rahm. Who leads from tee to green? Jon Rahm. Off the tee? Jon Rahm. Top 5 in scrambling as well. Lost a little bit with the putter. Had a 3-putt there on the par 3 8th, bogeyed the 15th, I believe, after that birdie on the par 5. Had a 10-footer for eagle that he kind of overread. That's something we've been seeing from a lot of players, I believe, just overreading these flatter green surfaces. So he's been awesome. Of course, I think the win did a lot for him mentally, just because I didn't even realize he hadn't won since last year's Masters up to this point. I just figured between last April and now that he had won somewhere. I don't know where, but the 9 straight top 10s to start his live golf career. I understand those boys will be clamoring at those who have said, oh, Jon Rahm isn't really having a Jon Rahm season. And their comeback is, oh, he's second in our points race. He's had 9 straight top 10 finishes. The point when we get to judging Jon Rahm on what he's doing on live golf and top 10 finishes on that circuit is the point where we have completely lost the plot on everything. And so I think that start at the Open Championship, getting himself into contention a little bit there on Sunday, a top 10 finish, and then obviously parlayed with a win at Live Golf UK, did a ton for him. It did a ton for his confidence. And his game has been from tee to green, from the tee up until the green. He has been the best player this week.
Yeah, I think the rebuttal is a couple of things. One, Jon Rahm from his own mouth just said he is playing the best golf now than he did at any point earlier this year. So that tells you what he thinks of his game for those 9 straight top 10s. Okay, so that just take his word for it. The other thing is, it is actually a compliment to Jon Rahm when you rank him on major championships, huge international competitions, the biggest of the big, because that, pressure is a privilege, right? It is a gift and a curse when you are only measured by your performances at major championships. So if that's what we're doing, if we're saying Jon Rahm's had a crap year because he's been crappy at majors, that's a compliment, because we expect him to be winning major championships, at least be contending in them and doing it regularly, not showing up and beating Cameron Tringali, Kevin Na, a couple of Vincent brothers. You know what I mean? Like that is not how Jon Rahm should be graded, because he's one of the best players in the world.
I totally agree, Rick. Shout out to Scott Vincent, Virginia Tech Hokie legend. And look, I get jazzed up about Russell Henley finishing inside the top 10 in back-to-back major championships. Russell Henley's not Jon Rahm, right? Like, we're not comparing those type of players. So I totally agree with you. It is a type of, I guess, a scale where potentially the best player of a decade type player like Jon Rahm could be is on. And not everyone is on that scale.
Correct. Exactly. And it's, like I said, a gift and a curse to be on the scale. 14 under for Jon Rahm and Xander Schauffele, 13 under for Tommy Fleetwood, Nicolai Højgaard and Hideki Matsuyama at 11 under. And then you get Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, Tom Kim, Thomas Dietrich at 10 under par. Tom in the chat says the guys at the top are top guys, top lads even. How far back is too far back for gold, silver, or bronze? I think my opinion here, Patrick, is 10 under par, because based on the guys who are at the top and the guys that you would have to pass at 10 under, Rory, Scottie, Tom Kim, it would take something ridiculously strange to happen, I believe, for the 9 unders to get to the podium.
I want to say 8, just because I'm rooting for, I hope Victor Perez makes a charge at least there on Sunday. That'd be awesome. That's what I'm rooting for. What I think,
if somebody from the 8s gets on the podium, it is going to be a sick Sunday.
Yes. And I think it's possible, Rick. I mean, like I mentioned, Rory Sabatini. Who would have thought that Rory Sabatini would shoot 61 in the final round in the Tokyo Olympics and claimed the silver medal when you had top guys ahead of him already. Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama, all in the mix there at Tokyo. So all I'm saying is I think there's going to be a bit more added pressure on the top. They might be thinking a little more about the leaderboard than their own games. Tommy Fleetwood's a top lad, a top bloke, a good guy, certified. There have been cracks in his performances in big-time moments, in stroke play events. And so I think that could lead to a 9 under. And you look at who's at 9 under, Rick. Jason Day can fill it up on the greens. Ludvig is going to pepper fairways and pepper greens. And Joaquin Niemann has a ton of firepower. So I think the 9s still have a chance, and I'm rooting for Victor Perez a little bit.
Tommy Fleetwood, good mate indeed. Let's see what Vegas has to say about this. Now, this is only going to be the winning odds. This is not going to be to medal. And Xander Schauffele leads the way at plus 140. Jon Rahm, as expected, right behind at plus 200. And then Tommy Fleetwood, just one shot back, is 5-1. That is then a gap. Those guys eating up a ton of the implied win equity. Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy are 16 and 20-1. Hideki has fallen to 22-1. Nicolai is 35. Tom Kim is 50. And I'll ask producer Josh, find me a number on Victor Perez while we go through this. I bet you it is very, very, very high. But the odds makers here in Sin City, Patrick, they are entirely focused on that. Not entirely, but they are laser focused on that final group.
Yes, and I believe they should be. I believe Xander Schauffele is going to get the job done. But at this price, I don't know how you don't pick Jon Rahm at 2-1 to win what is potentially, I mean, it's not going to be an 18-hole match, but these two start at the same score. I think it's hard not to pick Rahm, although Xander is probably going to win. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Xander has been way better than Jon Rahm for the last year. And that's not a knock on Jon Rahm because Xander's been better than basically everybody, maybe except Scottie Scheffler. But Jon Rahm's been better than Xander this week.
Mm-hmm. He has.
And that is hard to dispute. And I agree with you. I think Rahm, I'm not being brave here. I think he's a very emotional guy, and I think he kind of gets in some of these streaks. And I think that his move to live, I think, was one that made him feel ways he wasn't expecting to feel. And then he has kind of had to work through that. And I feel like he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable in his own skin. I agree with you. I think the win goes a long way. And now he's like in week 3 or week 4 of really good play. And he looks and feels like Jon Rahm again. So I'm with you. If you said, hey, Rick, here's $100 or whatever, I think my money would go on Jon Rahm right now.
As would mine. What do we think of? Do they have podium markets for this? I know you mentioned they don't. We don't.
I don't know if our official partners have them up yet. But,
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, there's been. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Well, actually, you know what? Why would you have top 5 markets and not podium markets right now?
What?
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's so silly. They're not even playing for the same things. Let me see if I can find something here real quick. Olympics, gold medal, women's gold medal. Oh boy. Tough scene out here in the streets.
Gosh. All right. I was going to look for, I don't know why. I think Thomas Dietrich could be a nuts bronze medalist play tomorrow.
Can't be worse than he was today.
No. And he's still right there.
God, he was so bad today. Yeah, they're out there. Those numbers are out there. I don't have them handy. Okay. Victor Perez is 600-1.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Listen, put $100 down. He pulls it off. You can pay for your trip to France to celebrate.
Here's a question for you, Rick. Who Who do you have more faith in tomorrow to make a charge? Is it Rory McIlroy or is it Scottie Scheffler?
Okay, so I'll say this. I bet you Rory goes out lower than Scottie does. Scottie shoots a better round than Rory does. Lock it up.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Like it's like NBA first half and total game. It's like, give me Rory in the first half, Scottie full time.
Okay. Well, let's do this. We did this at one tournament. At 9 under, we'll start there since Victor Perez is obviously the pick at 8 under. Jason Day, Ludvig, Niemann.
Yeah, I mean, I really like all three of those guys, but I think it's Ludi. I think it's got to be him.
Yeah, I do too. 10 under, Scottie and Rory.
Yeah,
we'll bypass those guys. The Battle of the Toms, Battle on the Thames, the Toms River.
Nice.
Where's that in Europe? It's in France now. Tom Kim or Thomas Dietrich?
The Thames is in London.
London.
We're close.
2012 Olympics. What's the it's the scene?
Yeah, I don't know how to
cyan.
But I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know it's dirty.
They had a poop protest there. I saw.
And what does that involve?
Humans were throwing poop in the river.
Were they throwing human feces or just any feces?
I believe their own.
Wow, dude, you know what? I feel what Europeans know how to protest. They'll you know how they go up to like politicians, just like throw pies at them and stuff. Like, and it's like complete like milkshakes. They legit know how to protest over there. We think we do it. We do not. They do.
Their protest certainly grabs political figures' attention more it's just like, here's a paint bomb.
Yeah. It's like there was like a compilation of like the same politician being hit by a milkshake like 5 times. It's like, what are we? Just every time they get him.
Josh is saying it's the Sin River. I don't know if that's right, man.
I don't trust that.
I don't either. I've been to Paris before, Josh. I didn't hear anyone say this.
Patrick just got back from Montreal. You don't think he knows how to pronounce that?
Bonjour, hello. Can't stop saying that.
So the question is, who's more likely to get up there, Tom Kim or Thomas Dietrich?
Yeah, the battle of the Toms River.
I take Tom Kim.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling about Dietrich. It might just be because he didn't wear a hat on his first tee shot today. So I'm going to go with the Belgian.
He's cool. I like him.
And then Hogard or Hideki at 11.
Hideki, obviously.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. Okay.
And then at 13 under, Tommy Fleetwood. At 14 under, Jon Rahm.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Patrick? In 24 hours from now, we will know who has a gold medal.
Nothing else.
How about this? Let's get them all in it. I don't care. I don't even care who it is. 3 guys in a playoff for bronze, silver, and gold.
That would be pretty cool.
I don't even care who they are. It would be cool if it was like, I will take Rahm, Xander, Tommy Fleetwood. I'll take that. But if you wanted to throw in a Hideki or a Rory or a Scottie, I don't care. But a 3-way playoff for all of them would be so sick.
Or not to one up you here, what if you have those 3 for the first 2 somehow, like they all tie, and then no, that makes no sense at all. I'm an idiot.
I know.
I'm such an idiot.
I loved where you were going with that. Where these 3 guys battle for like gold or whatever, but that's not how it would work. But I loved that. That was good.
Not to one up you here, but I'm gonna look like a complete moron real quick.
Not to one up you. Don't worry, you didn't.
Wrong.
Wrong.
All right, great show, Rick.
Great show, everybody. We'll see you on Sunday at approximately the same time. It'll be like noonish Eastern, maybe a little bit later because we've got HQ, we've got some responsibilities, but somewhere in that realm. And we're looking forward to it. But for now, big thanks to producer Josh. He does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald right there, available at P McDonald CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.